Now from Channel 49, this is Valley View, covering the issues that matter most to you in Central California. Here's your host, Austin Reed.
Everybody, good to see you again. Welcome to Valley View right here on Channel 49. I'm Austin Reed. Thank you for joining us. Every single week, we introduce you to what's great about the Central Valley. And this week, we're talking about farming. My guest is Mark McAfee with the benefits of raw milk and the family-owned Raw Farm.
That's it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Over the next 30 minutes, we are going to give you insight about raw milk, and you even brought some today.
I did.
You brought some cheese and some butter along with the raw milk. So
and the Kefir, yeah. Yeah,
so we're going to talk about that. And first, I want to begin with your story. This is fifth generation farm now?
It is, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty impressive, the fifth generation. My grandkids will be the fifth generation.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Where are you guys exactly located?
We are about 10 miles south and east of Kerman,
okay.
About 10 miles south and west of Fresno.
Great. Yeah. And let's start from the beginning, 4 or 5 generations ago.
My grandparents were school teachers in San Francisco, and they saved their pennies in the Depression and bought some land across the street from Fresno State University. And literally by the late 1950s, it became worth a fortune. So they traded that for 1,000 acres out near Kerman, which was kind of like wide open Wild West at that point. And that's been handed down generation by generation to now become Raw Farm. And it's a certified organic operation. And we do almonds, and we do the pastures and the cows, and then all of our products that come out of our own on-farm creamery.
I love it.
Yeah.
So growing up, you kind of saw everything and experienced this.
Well, my grandparents were school teachers, remember, and they didn't really do that much farming. They owned the land. My dad was the farmer, and then I was the farmer's kid. We had a dairy farm when I grew up when I was young, but then we sold the dairy farm because it wasn't profitable, and we went on to do other things. And so we established Raw Farm. Organic Pastures Dairy was our first name, and then Raw Farm this last 2 years has been renamed. But I was a certified paramedic here in Fresno for 17 years. So my wife was an RN. She delivered babies at Clovis Community Hospital, and I worked lots of different jobs at American Ambulance and now American EMS in the Fresno County, all the way from Shaver to Coalinga and every place in between, about 15,000 paramedic calls. So I saw humanity for a while there, you know, and that really began my appreciation for touching people and listening to people. Wherever they were, I was going to go and take care of them on a 911 call and listen to what the problem was and respond and take care of them. And that's kind of what's carried through into what we're doing now when we established Raw Farm and Organic Pastures was we were going to listen to customers, consumers to drive what we're doing, not a processor or the industry, but real people and the food that impacted those real people. That was going to drive our moral mission as a brand.
So now doing this full time.
Yeah.
Do you love it?
I absolutely love it. It gives me incredible purpose to be where I am as the founder of Raw Farm. We're the largest raw dairy in the world.
In the world?
Count Russia, too.
What?
We are the largest raw milk dairy in the world. We are milking about 800 cows on a 500-acre operation there with pastures. And we produce about 42,000 gallons of raw milk a week, which is all tested and validated and verified to be pathogen-free and extremely high quality. And there's a lot of tricks to how we do that because you can't just do raw milk willy-nilly. You get somebody sick. So you've got to have raw milk specifically intended for human consumption, not the pasteurizer. And that's why there's so few raw milk producers here in California, because it's kind of an exclusive product. It takes a special mindset and a special set of skills and dedication to do it. But it's legal in California. It's always been legal. It's just that it's harder to do. And I dedicated myself to do the hard things that make it look easy.
Tell me a little bit about like other states and raw milk.
Sure. Well, go across the United States. It's kind of a patchwork puzzle. In Arizona, raw milk's legal. In New Mexico, raw milk's legal. In Washington State, raw milk is legal. Pennsylvania, raw milk is legal. But then there are other states where it's not legal, or you have to go through some other kind of a backflip to get it, like a cow share. Buy a cow and have the farmer milk it for you, kind of a thing. Colorado has legalized cow shares. There are other places where raw milk is completely illegal, like Hawaii, for instance. There's still places you can get raw milk. I've never visited a place in Canada or the United States where I couldn't get raw milk. It's just a matter of knowing the farmer and knowing where to go. But in California, we're very grateful that, in fact, we have legal raw milk laws, very strict laws, though, and raw milk's available at 500 stores, soon to be 800 stores. We just got a big deal this last week back east that is going to expand us into about 800 stores in California.
Congrats.
The immigrants, the Indian community really loves their raw milk. And we just got into a bunch of stores there. They're going to offer our product to them. So very, very exciting growth opportunity because it meets the needs of the consumer, not the processor. So it's pretty exciting.
Tell me a little bit about why it's illegal in some parts of the country.
It's kind of a quasi-legal, quasi-right and wrong. It's weird. If you have one standard for raw milk, and that raw milk should be pasteurized, absolutely. That raw milk needs to be pasteurized because it's coming from many, many different dairies. You're not worried about how you clean the udder or test the cows or do whatever. There's no particular policies to assure super clean milk. That milk needs to be pasteurized. So most states back in the 1920s and 30s actually eliminated most raw milk and said mandatory pasteurization for everything because of the experience from the late 1800s.
Wow.
Yeah, tuberculosis, brucellosis, typhoid fever, some things that couldn't be well managed in the raw milk environment because you had the cows in kind of unclean environments. Mm-hmm. Downtown dairies in New York were filthy. The dairy outside in the Amish area in Pennsylvania was totally clean and wonderful with sunshine and green grass and clean water. And that was fine. In fact, there's stories of that milk going to the Mayo Clinic to heal people. While at the same time, people were dying from raw milk in the inside dairies, in no pastures, no sunshine, no clean water, tuberculosis rampant. It was disgusting. There was no clean food for the cows, but they were milking these large cow dairy operations in downtown Philadelphia and New York. And that's where people would die from raw milk. So for a period of time there, there's a lot of story around this, by the way, but the bottom line is until about 1940s, raw milk and pasteurized milk kind of lived in harmony together. There was the American Association of Medical Milk Commissions that was established by Dr. Coit back in the 1890s, not 1990s, to assure that raw milk was clean, but it was more expensive. So you remember the 1940s, DDT was good for your skin and smoking was good for your lungs. Mm-hmm. It was and we solved our social problems by dropping nuclear bombs on people. So it was really kind of a different time period than now. Sure. Now we understand the science. We understand whole food nutrition is important. We understand breastfeeding is so important. 1940s, breastfeeding was like not cool, right? Well, now we know breastfeeding is super important to start off the immune system of the child, to develop their brain, to nourish them. It's got all these things in it besides just the protein and the fats, it's got, and the carbohydrates. It's got all kinds of things that builds the gut microbiome: bacteria, DNA, microRNA, raw whey proteins, all kinds of things that are interesting, that are put there by nature as a function of as the evolution of all the generations and generations, the pressures of having only the best food come from mom to the baby so the baby could survive. Mother Nature didn't make a lot of mistakes. She killed off her mistakes, and the good stuff survived, right? Well, raw milk was the good stuff that survived by all these generational pressures. And we see that as an example, all the studies done on breastfeeding. Well, raw milk is literally raw milk from mammals, whether it be humans or whether it be goats or cows or sheep or camels or reindeer. All those animals have been taken, their milk has been taken to have mankind thrive and do really, really well over the last 12,000 years. Well, today people are reaching back and saying, I want the real thing. I want whole food that's enzyme rich, mineral, bioavailability of minerals. The proteins are undenatured. The minerals are there. The fats are there. Everything's there, not oxidized and not changed, so it can get the benefits of what Mother Nature intended for our immune systems to develop and thrive. So our raw milk is the #1 selling fluid milk product, be it pasteurized or raw, either one. We're #1 in Sprouts throughout the state of California. And yes, it's more expensive because you have to do so much more work, right? You just can't throw the machine on the cow. You have to make sure that cow is healthy. You got to make sure that cow is clean. You got to make sure that machines are clean and that the milk goes cleanly down a milk line and is rapidly chilled and then tested. Lots of different things versus the guys that are struggling with the low milk prices right now because the dairies don't really care about the quality so much because it's all about volume, because the pasteurizer is going to fix all the quality problems. It's not their fault. That's the standard you're producing for. Well, we produce for a different standard. That's raw milk for human consumption, which is a whole different standard of what we achieve.
So do you have to continually learn and grow and make sure that, you are on top of everything?
Yes. Yes, we are participants in the International Milk Genomics Consortium at UC Davis. And I have the highest accolades for those PhDs up there that study human milk. They study human milk. And they also study other milks, too, but all in raw form, and they understand all the minuscule, wonderful things in it. And I've been going to their conferences for 9 years and a very active participant in their research. So, yes, being a perpetual student really helps. And to be able to adapt, be resilient to changing conditions is key. Last year, when COVID hit in March and April of last year, our trucks would arrive at stores. The dairy cases, in some cases, not all cases, but some cases would be completely bare. All the fluid pasteurized milk would be gone. And meanwhile, the dairy producers were dumping their milk in the field because the processors couldn't adapt. Oh. They couldn't change from serving the schools and the restaurants to serving the stores. So the product sold out like that, even though the demand was way up. They couldn't come back and put more product on the shelf for weeks. So our trucks would arrive, and we'd take our product and we'd say, hey, dairy case manager, what do you want to do with this? They said, put it all on the shelf. Take the entire thing up. So some stores would have mostly our products and not even sitting in the back, but all up front. And so we got a lot of new customers because they say, oh, my gosh, I got this product, and it's delicious. It's expensive, but, boy, I can digest it. I don't get allergies. And so it was really a wonderful time for us, even though it was kind of a tragic time for the country. We responded literally in 10 minutes and said, deliver more. And we stopped making cheese because we had plenty in cheese storage, and we started making more of what was needed, and we adapted immediately, and we seized the opportunity for that market void that occurred. So that's the kind of thing that happens when you're connected to the consumer, connected to the store, and not through a food chain that has a problem in it. Right. So we had kind of a food chain stress test last year, which actually was a trial for the consolidated big food systems actually could not feed America for a while. It really choked, where the local food systems actually thrived and did really well. And we were right there on the top of the local food system.
So is this something, too, that people maybe don't know about raw milk? Like, it's still kind of like taboo?
It is not the topic of dinner conversation with most people. Let's talk about raw milk tonight. Yeah, right. What's that all about?
Story, everybody.
Yeah, it's not really the top of the conversation. You're right. It's not on people's minds. But what has become part of a topic of conversation is, how do we build our immune systems? How do we be stronger and not be sick? How do we lose weight? How do we get in shape? How do we eat better food? Because, yes, the vaccination helps you boost your immune system. Absolutely. And I encourage people to get that. I've got mine. I'm Moderna twice.
Yeah,
but
me too.
how do you build your underlying immune system? Well, 80%, if not more, of your immune system resides in the diversity of gut flora, the gut bacteria, the gut systems, the mucosal lining. And if that doesn't have integrity, then you're susceptible to not only this little thing going down the line, but something else too. Anything can get you. So if you really want to be healthy, you adapt kind of a Mediterranean whole food diet, right? The blue zone diet. Look up blue zones. That's an interesting topic. The people that live to be 90 to 110 years old and don't have diseases. I want to be that guy or gal.
Yeah.
So those are the people that eat the raw unprocessed cheese, the avocados, the fermented cultured foods, the raw milks, especially the kefirs. So we need to look back to be able to look forward, especially when America is eating such highly processed foods that are not so good for the gut. They're good for the shelf life, but not the gut life.
Exactly.
And shelf life and gut life are absolute extreme opposites. Something that has a long shelf life, is hard to digest, has preservatives to keep it on the shelf for a long time. Your gut doesn't want things on the shelf for a long time. It wants to break down right now and be digested and assimilated. So the closer we can get to Mother Nature's whole foods, the more nutrient dense it'll be, the more immune supportive it'll be, the better for our gut biome the food will be. And that's what our consumers are all about. And they thrive on it. They love it.
And I imagine you hear that from your customers.
All the time. And guess what? Our customers aren't just coming and saying it to us. They say it on the internet, which has a ripple effect.
Sure.
Click of the mouse, and everybody hears, and the whole virality, the viralness of those kinds of conversations where they say, I went from pasteurized milk to oat milk and soy milk, and gosh, that stuff's filled with sugar and doesn't taste very good. I went to raw milk, and oh my God, I found my best friend. That kind of a comment is actually very resilient. It resonates. People hear it, and they want to know about it.
We are talking with Mark McAfee, the owner of rawfarmusa.com. They are based here in the Central Valley. Great conversation so far. Coming up I'm going to try the raw milk for the first time. I've never had raw milk before, so that is to come. We're also going to talk a little bit about the farming industry here in 2021.
Absolutely.
So you're watching Valley View on Channel 49. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Valley View on Channel 49. I'm Austin Reed. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Austin Reed On Air. Today's show is made possible by Laura Young with Guarantee Real Estate. She's based in Fresno. If you want to find an experienced realtor, somebody that has the knowledge and can work with you in your situation, be sure to contact Laura Young, Guarantee Real Estate, and we're going to show you her number later on in the show and have all her contact information. Thanks for joining us today. You know, we are continuing our conversation with Mark McAfee. He is the owner of Raw Farms, based in 10 miles outside Kerman? Near Kerman,
Fresno. Yep.
Okay, and this is a fascinating conversation. Mark, thank you for coming on today.
You're welcome.
So just give a quick background if somebody's just tuning in right now about Raw Farm.
Raw Farm used to be called Organic Pasteurized Dairy, but in the last 2 years it changed to Raw Farm. And we produce raw milk. We're the largest raw milk dairy in the world. We have a world-class food safety system which tests all the milk every day to assure that there's no bad bugs. And it's been very, very successful. We've been doing this now for 21 years. And we are the top-selling fluid milk in Sprout stores. We're very proud to have them as good partners, including all pasteurized product. We're number one.
Number one.
Number one.
Amazing.
And the reason people say is, oh, my God, it's delicious, number one. And number two, it's digestible. We don't see the lactose intolerance issues. And it's good for your allergies. It's good for allergies. It's not allergenic. And so people that have tried, gone away from pasteurized milk, gone to oat milk or soy milk or whatever kind of milk there is that's out there, it's kind of been that alternative thing, have gone to raw, and I found my baby. This is it. I'm happy now because it's the real deal.
I have never had raw milk, so
here we go, guys.
I get to do something brand new. So Mark's going to shake it up. Okay.
So you shake it up a little bit.
All right.
It's about 4% butter fat, and this is the real deal, man.
Here we go. Here we go. I love milk, regardless. So, some people can't drink milk, which is
have a hard
crazy
time
to me. But so I'm excited for this. Here we go. And which one is this?
This is raw whole milk, top seller.
Raw whole milk, top seller. Okay.
Top seller.
Wow, it tastes very natural. Totally
creamy,
different.
yeah.
Very creamy. Also a little sweet, but in a good way.
It does have a sweetness to it. It doesn't have an edge, a burnt edge or anything like that. It's just kind of a mellow, sweet flavor.
I would drink this anytime, any day.
We have a lot of people that will make other things out of it, like raw ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking about that
the
right
Valley
now.
is blessed with all kinds of wonderful peaches and strawberries and all these flavors out there. And so you take the fresh flavors along with your raw milk, add a little honey from our fantastic beekeepers around here, and you found yourself some nirvana.
You also, what's the smaller bottle?
This is Kefir.
Okay, what's the difference?
It's this milk plus the addition of 12 bacteria, like yogurt bacteria, fully cultured but never heated.
Do you mind if I take it?
Yeah, let's try that out.
Yeah, I want to try that.
A little bit of a hint of vanilla flavor, but it's no sugar added.
Thank you.
Notice it's a slightly sour.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely a yogurt-like kind of
It totally tastes, or it smells like yogurt.
Yeah. It's kind of sour, but it's kind of interesting how it is. You kind of wrap your brain around it. It's getting a little different.
Yeah, it's different. I'm thinking my taste buds are...
They're going, what's that?
What is that? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like...
The new Russian immigrants, the people from India, they dig this big time because it's so much like back home.
It's good, though.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's
really
fantastic for your gut.
Right.
Because it's cultured. It's got 150 different kinds of bacteria at extremely high levels. So you talk about probiotic, it's next level.
I've got cystic fibrosis.
Oh, boy.
Which is half of that disease is
inflammatory
my gut.
problems, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So
irritable bowel, Crohn's disease, all those kinds of things are really helped by decreasing the inflammation response in your body.
So would you just have like if you had like a glass of this a day, would you?
You would adopt a whole food diet.
Okay.
Try to stay away from all antibiotics and all preservatives. You would try to eat whole foods. Kind of a Mediterranean diet, if you will, with lots of cultured foods, and add that as 1 or 2 cups a day, and your gut will transform in a couple of months. It will not be the same place.
Wow.
You're not given much of a choice. You're seeding with the right stuff and feeding you the right stuff, right?
Yep. This is good, though.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. I was kind of worried that I wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
But it's good.
It's easy to digest because it's already pre-digested, right? And so people dig that stuff. They'll also use that as a base for a smoothie. Put that into a blender and add in like berries and stuff. Oh, baby.
My goodness. That sounds amazing.
It's really, really good.
We're going to play a video as you talk. Maybe you can kind of walk us through this.
Sure.
Here it is. So, oh, yeah. Speaking
it's
of
a blender there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is video from your website, I think, right?
Yeah. We make all kinds of blended drinks. Smoothies are very popular. They add a banana, add in raw egg if you want to, add in whatever, and you put in a little raw honey and put in berries. And you've got yourself a super, super anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, fantastic gut food,
On the day that I didn't shave, I'm probably going to have a milk mustache.
You're looking good, buddy.
Raw milk mustache.
You're good.
A raw milk mustache.
We also have the raw butter.
Okay.
And we also have raw cheese. And this is truly raw. It's never been heated above body temperature. So it still retains the value of the raw milk because it hasn't been heated up and cooked.
And that's a sharp cheddar?
This is a sharp cheddar, or fairly sharp cheddar. It's
Okay.
Been aged about 60 days.
Okay.
It's more of a moderate than it's sharp. Sharp go out 6 to 8 months. But people love it. They put it on their tacos or whatever.
Yeah.
Kids love to eat it. Just
How
eat
many
it.
kinds of cheeses do you have?
We've got several. We've got a jalapeno, and we've got the raw cheddar. Those are the 2 main ones, but we also have a couple other ones too.
Let's talk a little bit about, and we've only got about 4 minutes left. You were recently in Philadelphia.
Yes.
At a big expo. Talk about that.
Food Expo East.
Okay.
And unfortunately, last year, Food Expo West was canceled. So every year they have one in the West and one in the East. All the big distributors and processor and brands, and stores all get together, and they try to meet the farmer, meet the processor to get the brand into their store and find out what's cooking and what's not. And this year, Food Expo East was open. So it wasn't closed by COVID. So we showed up there and we presented, and we had all of our booth and the whole thing and our products, and we picked up several hundred more stores in California that want this product.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting.
That's super cool. What is life for a farmer here in the Central Valley now that we're in 2021 and 2022 is coming up?
Well, I would say the word water describes a lot of it. We haven't had rain in a year, basically,
right.
And we're in a drought. So, it's really strange. If you look at the United States, we've got lots of water. It's just in the wrong places. And we need to have a national water plan to move water around and stuff. It's kind of new age thinking. But with what's going on with the climate evolution and what's going on there, we really do need to think about where are our resources, where they need to be, and what the best soils. California's got fantastic soils. But we need to have better water policy. So we need to store the water that does land here and let some go out to the ocean, obviously, for the fish and everything else. We need to store it better. We also need to have more brought in for all of us to eat. California is the breadbasket of the world, and we certainly feed America. It's a food security issue. So if you don't have food coming from California, you got to import it from someplace else. God knows what you got. Yeah. So we really need to think of food as a food security issue for America, and water is kind of the big thing. I would say California farmers, it's a mixed bag. We've got organic guys that are suffering and organic guys that are doing great. We've got those that are in the commodity markets doing great and those that are not doing well. California dairymen are struggling a little bit right now because of the fact that we're losing 7 dairies a day in America because chronic low prices paid for the milk because of overproduction. So we don't have this balance yet between supply and demand. Very big challenges there. No good national dairy policy. But as far as other commodities are concerned, it's all kind of a local thing, right? How far do you have to transport it to get to your market? Who's buying it? Who's selling it? Who has money? Who doesn't have money? Is import-export working? It's kind of a very mixed bag at this point in California.
So I would imagine one of your jobs is to kind of help the farmers, just like yourself.
I actually founded the Raw Milk Institute.
Oh, I didn't
back
know
in
that.
2011 as a nonprofit organization. And it's thriving. It's got support from the Google people.
Wow.
The 11th Hour Fund, one of their subsidiaries, gives us money every year to operate. But it helps other farmers to apply the proper standards to produce raw milk safely for their customers. Instead of raw milk just being a crapshoot, we make a very good science out of it. And now we've got a bunch of farmers in California, around the United States, in Canada, and in other countries as well, following these standards and being received training on how to produce raw milk safely and properly. And they're thriving. They're doing very, very well.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, there's a lot of really good things going on. And I would say that farmers need to adapt and be resilient. You cannot continue the same practices and expect the same kind of returns. You have to, if something's coming at you, you need to dodge, you need to duck, you need to change. And right now, it's time to dodge, duck, and change because things are going to hit us differently, and we need to be able to modify our practices to get around those things.
Prepare for it. Prepare
Absolutely.
Now.
Adapt and be resilient.
Anything else? We've got about a minute left. Any future things happening with Raw Farm?
It's the beginning of tour season. So if you want to see the farm, the heat is past us, which is kind of nice. It's in the 80s and 90s. It's a beautiful time. And we'd love to have people come up and sign up for tours, and we show them where their food comes from. If they don't know about raw milk, we'll teach them about raw milk. So that's exciting. And then next May, we're having the Camping with the Cows event. It's a little early to announce it, but get in line because there's going to be 700 to 800 people there. And 2 years ago when we had it, right before COVID hit, we had 650 people. And it's very, very exciting to have all the customers. What's that?
You'll have to come back before that, and we'll
good idea.
promote it. So.
Yeah, but kids coming to the farm and having a bonfire and under the sun is something they don't experience, and camp out with their parents and see their farmer. That's a great experience.
I love it. People can learn more, of course, at rawfarmusa.com. And if they want your products, where do they go?
Go to Sprouts here locally. That's the place to go. Or go to our website, and we have a locator for all of our products throughout the state of California.
Mark, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right. We'll see you again.
Okay.
I'm Austin Reed. That's going to do it for Valley View. Thanks for watching here on Channel 49. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Our thanks to Laura Young at Guarantee Real Estate, as well as Central Valley Talk and the Austin Reed Network. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.